back to another video. You join me on a sullen, misty moor, Marsden Moor to be precise, and we're somewhere between Oldham and the village of Marsden. Behind me, that monolithic building that you're looking at there, like something out of Doctor Who. That building is Redbrook Engine House, and yes, it is to do with the Standedge tunnels. Now, you may or may not have seen that video, but basically the Standedge canal and railway tunnels run under Marsden Moor from Diggle through to Marsden, 500 feet, 400 feet, 500 feet below me here, deep in the hillside. So if you imagine the hill goes up like that, the canal runs down below. And Redbrook Engine House played a major role in digging that canal tunnel. Basically, they sunk shafts into the floor, into the ground, and then they lowered men down those shafts and dug away at the face from both ends, from Marsden and from Diggle, and they also sunk the shafts down and they lowered men down and worked from the middle as well outwards. And Redbrook Engine House, it's difficult to pin it down a date, but from what I've read, it's around about 1798. The work for the canal tunnel started in about 1794. Obviously that would have took a while to build, and it would have been quite into the construction. It took 17 years to build the Standedge canal tunnel. It was started in 1794 and it was finally finished in 1811. Redbrook Engine House, it's just amazing. It's an amazing thing to look at, and like I say, monolithic. It would have housed steam engines. It would have housed Newcomen steam engines. Now, Newcomen steam engines were the forerunners to the later, much more efficient steam engines that we knew. I'll try and get a picture of a Newcomen steam engine for you, but they use the engine to pump out water from the shafts, and also to lower the men down, to work the shaft, and finally at the bottom they would have dug the canal. I think the plan was initially to use steam and then to turn it into like a water engine, and I'll tell you why. Basically, the Newcomen steam engines were very inefficient. They had a voracious appetite for coal, and the amount of coal you put in didn't equal the energy you got out. You got not a large amount of energy out for the coal you put in. And the Newcomen engines were mainly used in mines, in coal mines, and that was fine, because what they could do at the coal mines was they could burn lots of low quality coal and pour tons and tons and tons of it in, and the steam engine was on site burning the duff coal, if you like. All the good coal went to the consumers. That's fine when you're using a Newcomen steam engine in a colliery, in a mine. But when you've got to haul coal over the moor to this engine house, this vast place behind me, it becomes a massive problem. And so this is what they had to do. They had to haul coal all the way over the moor to Redbrook Engine House for the inefficient Newcomen steam engines. It caused major problems, and you can imagine the costs involved were phenomenal. And that was part of the problems when they were building the canal tunnel. The amount of times they ran into financial difficulties, and the sheer vast task that it was at the time, it really drained the coffers of the company, if you like. And that was one of the problems, was bringing coal up here onto Marsden Moor to burn in these like very inefficient steam engines. Now, I know what you're thinking, right, fair enough, Martin, well, what's it like inside there? Well, basically it's an empty shell in there. I am going to take you in a minute. It's an empty shell, but at either end is something absolutely terrifying. So let's go in and we'll take a look. So, like I say, not a great deal in here, but you may notice that at either end here is like a little sort of gate type thing, and there's one there in front of us. So remember the Standedge tunnels? Do you remember when we stood at the bottom of the shafts and we looked upwards? Well, we're at the top of those shafts now, and what I'm going to show you, like I say, is terrifying. And the draft coming out of this shaft, I can feel it on me now. So if that wasn't scary enough, there's a second shaft here just behind me, okay? This is the other shaft, and on this one we have to sort of stand above it. This is equally as terrifying. Approximately 512 feet deep. Absolutely terrifying stuff.
Okay, if we just jump back to the first shaft there, that wooden structure you see on the right there, some people think it's a drain pipe, some people think it's like a ladder. Well, it's not. It's quite a unique piece of technology from the time. What that did was it sprayed 27 gallons a minute of a fine mist of water down the shaft to create a downdraft of fresh air to the tunnel below. I don't think it's in use at the moment. I don't think it's actually working as it should do. But that's what it was. It created a downdraft of fresh air to the tunnel base, to the shaft base, by spraying a fine mist of water. Quite a unique invention. And that's what that is, or I strongly suspect that that is what that is.
And so, not content with just showing you and zooming in with the camera, the plan today is to lower a GoPro down there and take a look deeper into the shaft. Now there's only so far we can go in, and I'm a bit worried about going too deep into it because I don't want my contraption to snag and to not be able to get it back up. Okay, so what are we going to lower into the shaft to get the pictures with the GoPro on? Well, if I just lower a GoPro down on a piece of string, the GoPro will spin. Also, GoPros are not very good in low light, so we need to think of lighting, and we need to think of the spin, not allowing the GoPro to spin. So I've designed something myself, and it's a bit like one of those Mars rovers. You know when you see them on Mars beaming back pictures to Earth? Well, I've designed and built this thing, okay?
because it's got lights on and it's got a camera on, okay, it's like a combined, it's got wheels on the back as well, so it crawls down the side of the shaft. So because it crawls down the shaft, it's like a little, it's like a rover. It's got lights on it and it's got a camera on it. It's a combined optical crawler. I like to call it Cock Rover. So let me give you a guided tour of the Cock Rover. Okay, so this is Cock Rover, and as you can see, it's basically a piece of wood. On the back there is some wheels, and this is designed like this so that the wheels can roll down the side of the shaft. Okay, these things can roll down the side wall of the shaft, and we can hopefully we won't snag. Okay, bolted onto the piece of wood. Turning it over, if I can. Turning it over. This is the front of Cock Rover, or the working side of Cock Rover. As you can see, we've got these brackets bolted on here, and these brackets carry lights. Alright, so the two lights. The thing about GoPros is that they do not work very well in low light. So that's why we've got the additional bathroom lights there on Cock Rover. Now, the weak spots are here. There's a few weak spots, and I'll point them out. We've got this light, which is the main working light, is on a GoPro mount. And what I managed to do was just gluing it to the wood. You wouldn't have got a very good seal. So I managed to get a screw. I drilled a hole and got a screw in there, as you can see, through the plastic. So the GoPro mount is screwed onto the wood, and then I glued it. Same with the GoPro mount. If I just turn the GoPro over there, you'll see there's a screw going through there as well. I'll just turn that to the light so you can see. There's a screw going through there into the wood, and that's just additional security. And you can see the pool of glue around it where I've glued both mounts to the base of Cock Rover. Alright, so this light is like a waterproof light, if I can get it to turn on. And you can see it's very, very bright, so I'll just turn that off there. So that's a great light, and that's the main light on Cock Rover. I've got an additional light strapped here, just to give some additional lighting, because like I say, GoPros do not like low light. Now, we're going to do 2 drops. Drop number 1, the GoPro is going to face downwards into the shaft. So let me show you how that will be. Cock Rover is going to drop down like that, and the GoPro is going to face downwards. Drop number 2, we're going to put the GoPro backwards like that and look at the wall facing us. So Cock Rover is then going to drop down the shaft like that, with facing the wall opposite. You'll see what I mean when I actually do it, if it's suitable to do it. Alright, so that's it. Now the other weak spot obviously is the rope that we're attaching with, and you know I've not got a good reputation with ropes and knots. So I've learned to tie a bowline, and I've tied on there 1, 2, 3 bowlines. So basically that's it. That's the way it's going to drop down into the shaft. So, good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, let's go back to Redbrook Engine House and try out the Cock Rover. That's the plan, to lower the Cock Rover down into the shaft. We're set up over at this end. We're going to try and lower it into this shaft here. Okay, so as I take you towards the shaft, there's Cock Rover, ready to go. Alright, got some lights I'm going to bolt on here, as I've shown you at home. And then the rope is out. Probably got too much rope, really, probably got more rope than what we need. But we're going to lower here into the shaft.
As you can see there's a ridge we have to get over, and then we obviously do the drop downwards, and it's one hell of a drop. 512 feet to be precise. So I'm going to get my gloves on. I've got some non-slip gloves on. I'm going to go for it and see if we can lower Rover into the shaft, see if we can get some decent footage of what it's like down there. So I'm going to go for it, going down there now. I'm going to lower it into the shaft. I'm shitting it. It's not so much losing the GoPro, it's more just the whole thing. If it goes crashing down or one of the knots fails or something like that, it's just like worst case scenario. You don't want it to happen, do you? And it's also about angling the camera, the GoPro as well. And the draft coming up from the shaft is incredible. So we're over there now. Well, that's looking a bit windy. Okay, and down we go. You got your torch on?
Yeah.
Are you on it?
Yeah.
And down we go. Do you see, I've got to get over that first. Right, so the first bit, we've reached the first ledge now. So if you just point the camera down there again, Paul, and we're going over the ledge. Okay. That bit there. And we're over it, okay? Got stuck in a divot there.
Got the weight of it, pull it out, that's it.
Oh, she's
pull
spinning.
Down a bit.
She's spinning.
She's out of
Get
control.
on that side of the wall there. And down we go.
Got the rope.
Look how light. Is that me or is it a light or what? Now just quickly, obviously you're seeing two viewpoints here, so you're seeing combined footage from two drops down the shaft, both extremely nerve-wracking. So we're a fair old depth down. Obviously we can't go all the way to the very, very bottom because we're worried about snagging and stuff like that. If it snags down there and we don't get it back, it defeats the object of getting some footage of the shaft. But we'll go a little bit further and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Right, so that's about the limits to what I'm going to go, because if I go any further, I'm worried about it snagging, and not getting the thing back up. And just leaning over like this, it kills your back, I'm telling you, it really is. And it seems that the lower it gets, the heavier it gets. I probably built it too heavy, to be honest with you. But we're going to bring it back up now, okay? So here we go, coming back up. We've done it. There she is. She's back.
Safe and sound.
From the mission. We made it.
Now I would have loved to have lowered Cock Rover all the way down to the bottom of the shaft, but it just simply wasn't practical. Probably didn't have the rope to do it, and if it had snagged, I'd have never got it back. But we've just had an insight into what it's like inside one of those shafts. If you want to see the bottom of the shafts, if you look at my channel and look at this video here, we walked through the disused railway tunnels down below, down in the hillside down below, and we looked up the shafts. So here's a bit of a sneak preview of what it's like down below and looking up the shafts.
Yeah, possibly. Oh my god. Like there. Oh. Redbrook number 2, I think.
Now, when we were up top, we don't know what the shaft's like down below, and when we were down below, it's very difficult to know which shaft you're looking at. You know, I can't match them up in my head. I think this one that we're looking at now is the other Redbrook one, the one in the engine house, the second one I showed you, because it certainly has the bare rock when you look down it. Like I say, difficult to know which shaft is which when you're down in the tunnels, but here's a sneak peek of what it's like down below.
So there's actually a third shaft. There's the engine house. If we walk up this path here, apparently just round this path there's another shaft, but this one is low down and capped off from what I've seen. So we're going to take a walk up the path and see if we can find the third shaft. And this is what I mean about they spent loads of time sinking all these shafts over the moor. Probably more shafts than what they actually needed, to be honest with you. It got into double figures, and they're running a line from obviously Diggle through to Marsden. And I think a few weeks ago when I was up here and I found what I thought was an old well on the moors, which is way over there off in the hills, I think that was one of the disused shafts that got abandoned and never got sunk to the bottom, and now is subsequently just full of water. Let's go and see if we can see this other one. Okay, so we found it. It's just here, just at the back of Redbrook. Now clearly that's been higher, hasn't it? It's had a wall around it, as you can see here. It's obviously been sort of knocked down, hasn't it? My God, why have they done that? Well, that's it. And you can look at this. Look at the dirt that's blown out of there and dirtied all the grass there. That's incredible. Ooh. Could you hear the train then?
Yeah. It's like diesel on the
grass. It's very difficult to pin down these shafts, you know, because even the guy that wrote the book says that they sort of like they were so short of cash they'd sink shafts, like I've already said, sink shafts, abandon them, move on, try sink another one. Some never got completed, some did get completed. That was weird that then, wasn't it, when you heard that? Well, sort of a whoosh coming out of it. Oh, oh look, oh look. That's good. Look at the amount of crap that's come out of there. Oil that's gone on the grass and everything. So you wouldn't sort of know what was behind there, but we now do know what's behind there, and the idea of opening that little door and peering down there is, like I say, I keep saying this word, terrifying. Don't tell me that's an open shaft. Obviously there's no real great depth there,
near water at the bottom,
but there is water going down there. I wouldn't like to go down there. Redbrook initially was steam, Newcomen steam engines. I think they wanted to drive it finally from water, and there's a reservoir just over the back end over here, just off the main road. You can't see it because of the small hill. We think this little bit of a hole here, a little bit of a shaft, is something to do with the waterworks that would have ran this way, possibly, and fed Redbrook Engine House. We're not sure, but this has got to be something to do with the workings of the engine house there. So that's it. Sorry for the quick jump. That's the end of the video. As per usual, after all the shenanigans in the shafts, I was getting cold and tired, and I completely forgot to record a proper ending to the video. Redbrook Engine House, completely fascinating place, and I'm going to leave you now with some night footage of the engine house. So we waited till it went dark, and we went back and got a few atmospheric shots at night. Just using Cocker over here for a bit of a light for myself. There you go. The cock itself. So thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I shall see you very soon in the next video. Bye for now. So why would you be on a moor? What time is it, Paul? 5 o'clock in the evening?
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the evening on the moor. In the dark. To get some eerie shots of this thing here. If we can.